What's up with that? Two cowards who don't even smoke crack. What's up with that? Two cowards who don't even smoke crack.
Hey guys, I'm Garrett.
And I'm Will.
And together we're two cowards who don't even smoke crack. This is a podcast dedicated to reviewing the musical works of Lee Carter, aka Lee Dog, aka Cobra, aka Rip, aka Diamondback, or as you may know him, Viper. Between the two of us, we have 0 years of experience in reviewing music, or really professional criticism of any kind. In some ways, this makes us perfect to review Viper, because we too know what it feels like to be devoid of any sort of talent.
And you know what? I think he knew that when he made Hustlin Thick, his debut album. Starting with the gym, she ballin'. Right near the beginning, there's a line, "Last night I drank beer, so it's liquor today." It really made me think about the old adage, beer before liquor, never sicker. And so I knew that all of this music was going to make me feel sick immediately.
So, okay, I think we're in agreement that based on that, I think we're in agreement that this, of the 4 albums we listened to for this episode, Hustlin Thick is by far the worst.
But it's also by far, in my opinion, the most entertaining.
Yeah, I will agree with that. There's something that I really noticed is like the production is kind of like Frankenstein-esque. Like, mixing is just a complete mess on it, right? Some of the tracks have completely washed out lyrics where like, and this goes for a lot of the Viper albums that we're going to be talking about, but you can barely hear what Viper's saying on 90% of the tracks on this album. But then on other tracks, like, I forget, I think it's the second or third song, In My Hood, where poor Ice LaBelle, no, Plain to See, it's Plain to See. Poor Ice LaBelle, that woman that just shrieks like a banshee, and she's trying her hardest, and it's mixed so poorly. I texted you when you were listening to it.
Yeah,
like, listen to it. Don't listen to it with headphones because it is that bad. Like the whole thing is super quiet. The beat is super quiet. The lyrics are washed out, and then this woman who is on most of the other tracks she's on. Pretty good. She just comes
Well, that's the thing. This isn't Ice LaBelle on that track. It's Day DeJeanette. I looked it up. It's a different person.
Girl?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's another random homeless person he pulled off the street.
I was gonna say, aside from that track, she does a really good job. But if it's not her, then Ice LaBelle just exclusively does a great job.
Yeah. While you bring that up, I think it's very interesting. The 3 people that I found that had features on this album. Ice LaBelle, her only musical credits ever are the 6 songs she featured on this album. Jay DeJeanette, her only song she's ever been on was the feature on It's Plain to See, which is absolutely terrible. And then on Rollin', there's this guy, Picardy Proof.
Oh, yo, I thought that guy was great. I thought he was awesome. He's the best part of this album.
So good. And you know what? It's the only musical credit he's ever had.
I loved his work. He
genuinely good.
And my favorite part was you texted me about the Genius lyrics, and my favorite part about his stuff is that for half of his lines, it's just like 15 consecutive question marks because the mixing is so bad, and he's just yelling into the microphone, and you can't understand a word he is saying.
You know, I'm going to say something very offensive that people might not like to hear.
Okay.
But I think Genius made a mistake on this album.
Oh, really?
Would you like to hear this?
I would, yeah.
So before I get into this, I'd like to reiterate, you don't know much about Popeye the Sailor Man, is that right?
That's right. Although, before you lead into this, I wanted to point out my favorite lyric is, and I think this is where you got that from. I did not tell you this prior, but my favorite lyric is from What I Got. Locked in the game, now it's time to do this. Roaming the land like Popeye and Buddhists.
That is exactly the line I'm about to talk about.
All right, good,
so
fantastic.
let's think about this, right? Popeye, he's the Sailor Man. His thing is that he sails around and has adventures, right? All over the world.
Yeah.
Buddhists, a little weirder, you know? I guess it's a very widely spread religion. There are a lot of followers. You know, it traveled very quickly, like over the Silk Road. Kind of a weird history thing for Viper to want to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Here's my theory. So first, we got to go back. we got to go back to 1932 to be specific.
What a wonderful time.
To Elise Seeger and her Thimble Theater comic strip. Now, the most popular character in this series of cartoons was Popeye, of course.
Okay.
And his thing was he would have adventures with his love, Olive Oil. Great name.
Right. Perfect.
And this giant yellow pants, black shirt, muscled, bearded sailor named Bluto. So Bluto was a big, strong man. And eventually, because the comic was big and, times were moving forward, they partnered with Paramount Pictures in the early 50s, I believe, 48, to make an animated cartoon show. Now, that lasted for a couple of years, but when they split, when the contract ended, there were some issues. So basically, the people who owned Popeye couldn't remember if they had named Bluto in the original comic or if he was a Paramount Pictures character.
Okay.
So when they took the rights back, they didn't think they had Bluto. So what they did is they made an exact copy of him and named him Brutus.
Oh, good. Okay.
Okay, so for about 10 years... So for about 10 years, Brutus was the enemy for their most popular animated show, and now they have Bluto back, but all of the Disney-created animations and all of the video games still have Brutus as the main enemy. So, I ask you, what is more likely? Viper flexing his historical muscles, or him doubling down on the Popeye reference with Popeye and Brutus?
Wow. That's really good. And I'm fairly sure that Lee Dog, aka Viper, is immortal. So it is entirely possible that he has been around since 1948 when they made that first animated series.
Well, if not, the most popular one was in like the 60s and 70s. So
there you go. I have no idea how old Viper is. In fact,
he's
I don't
like
think
53.
Nope.
According to him,
He's sure not.
how old is he?
I have no idea, but he's not 53.
I'm curious now. Let me look this up.
All I know is
he's 49.
Yeah, he is confirmed. Viper is confirmed to be in favor of wearing masks and social distancing.
That's good.
And he is on Twitter. He is very, very angry about anti-maskers. He says that they are one of the big reasons that Jesus Christ will be coming back in the years 2037 to 2047.
That's true.
So yeah, that's pretty accurate.
He also has a very suspicious and illegitimate real estate agency,
right? That's
called
correct.
Movers.
Free movers.
There it is. Yeah. So, I didn't want to have to say it. I know it's not going to win me any approval of anyone out there, but I think the geniuses over at Genius got that one wrong.
All right, I'm inclined to believe you. Going back to talking about some of the features, I did want to point out, I think that everybody that features on this album, every single person, including whatever her name is that was on It's Plain to See. I think it was
Deja Dene.
Deja Dene, yeah. I think every single person on this album is better than Viper. Except for one guy, King Xavier. He features on one song. And his lyric is, "As I ride through the bedside," and it sounds like an auto-tuned Kermit the Frog, and it's probably I tried to keep an open mind with this going into it, and that was the one time that I just busted out laughing. The rest of it is bad, right? But that was the one time that I was like, "Oh my god, this is dog shit."
What song is that on?
I don't remember the name of it. I think it's Best Side, I think is the name of it. But again,
yeah, that sounds right.
What's interesting is the Genius. A lot of the names are different from where they are on the tracks because Viper will just release these albums again.
Yep. Yes. By the way, the best part of that was when you first started, you peaked your microphone and immediately cut out.
Oh, good. I'm
glad.
Which
I think is exactly up to tune.
That's yeah.
By the way, I think that same guy had a small verse on Bring the Noise. And I just wanted to bring this up while we're talking about him, because I don't think I'll ever think of him again in my entire life.
I'm actively trying to forget that King Xavier exists.
He said, "Inward sound like some butt fuck."
That's a good one. That's up there.
Yeah.
See, this is what's difficult about like a couple of the albums on here, is that a lot of times the lyrics are only understandable when you have the direct translation on Genius in front of you. And that's
and as we know, those aren't always right.
Right. You've just proven that. You've done more, you've put more thought into this than anyone has ever thought into Viper's lyrics.
7 people collaborated on that lyrics article.
We'll make it 8. You can go in there.
It's true. I can. I don't know. I feel like there's a collection of some gem lyrics in here. We can get into some of the best later, but there's also a point where a guest verse rhymes motherfucker with itself 6 lines in a row. So
that's good.
I don't know. Have you ever known of a single collection of music to be so up and down in so many ways?
I did not until I listened to the rest of Viper's albums that we listened to this week. Because that's
True.
a running theme in a lot of this. I do want to point out, there are 2, in my opinion, there are 2 actually decent songs on Hustlin Thick.
I agree.
My 2 are Rollin' and Bring the Noise, because those 2 songs have the least Viper on them, and they actually sound like... I'll talk about this a little bit later. Viper's the worst part of his albums. The beats are good, and then whenever there's somebody else going over the beats besides Viper, the songs are actually decent. I mean, they're not good. They're not great hip hop, but they're listenable. You know what I mean?
I was a big fan of Grindin' Well is pretty good.
That was a good one too.
And I liked the hook of In the Hood, where Ice LaBelle is just pouring her heart out over In the Hood, nowhere else I'd rather be. In the Hood. Yeah,
that is a good one too. That's the one where I kind of, because originally, like I said, I thought that it was Ice LaBelle on It's Plain to See, and I kind of reversed my opinion. I was like, this poor woman, when I heard her just pouring her heart out In the Hood. So before we do ratings, I wanted to ask you, how did you, what system did you come up with for your ratings? Like what?
I think the best way
measuring against.
My intention, at least for now, until it gets almost impossible, is to at least episode by episode rank the ones that we're reviewing in reference to the ones we're reviewing today.
Okay.
So like, give a little bit of, I think Hustlin Thick is more fun than any of the others and probably worse than all of the others.
Right. Okay.
Because I don't know if any of these today are getting more than like a 5, but it's no fun if they're all just like 2s.
Yeah. So I did something similar because I didn't want to give them the best album that we listened to. What is still like a 3 out of 10 when you compare it to any other album written by any other artist. So what I did is I created a hypothetical perfect Viper album.
Okay.
And that's my 10. And when I hear it, I'll know what it is. So
I like that.
This is the Viper scale, I like to call it. It's a 1 to 10 scale on how good of a Viper album this is. Not how good of an album it is, because it's dog shit. How good of a Viper album is it?
Right.
So Hustlin Thick got a 3 out of 10 on the Viper scale for me.
Okay.
I thought it was terrible.
Would you like to give your favorite line as you continue to give your synopsis?
Yeah, it was locked in the game. Now it's time to do this. Roaming the land like Popeye and Brutus. Although I may have to take that one out now because it
actually makes sense.
Yeah, because it makes sense, and I was very much confused as to why he was talking about Popeye and Buddhists.
That's a good choice. But so I'm sorry. Continue your synopsis of Hustlin Thick.
I'm pretty much it's like you said, it's easily the worst, but it's also in some ways the most fun. The rest of them, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think there's another feature on any of the other 3 albums we listened to.
There are not.
Right. So this one is, I agree, it's also the most fun. It is the worst production value, the worst mixing, the worst recording, but it has the most heart. And this was released when he was going by Lee Dog rather than Viper, which is interesting.
And it was released with he's still cool with these people, and through all the rest of them, he had interactions with them, but there were, I don't remember their name now, but there was this pretty big company in Texas, where he's from, or at least was at this point, that were big Southern hip hop guys.
Yeah. And
he took a lot of influence from him on the first one, and then didn't like break off his friendship with them, but he went in his own direction and did more samples and stuff. Okay, so my favorite line, one that I genuinely enjoyed from Grindin' Well, it's, man, it's all gravy. Stay cool from head to toe. No ifs, ands, or maybes.
That is pretty good.
That is pretty good. But yeah, no, it's fun. Bacardi Proof was cool. Ice LaBelle, where is she now?
God
Does she exist? I can't find her on the internet. I also have in my notes, is she Ice JJ Fish's sister?
That's also what I wanted to know!
So, we may never know. I'm not convinced Viper knows who she is, but
all right,
if anyone out there knows, let us know.
Girls, we have a Patreon. We're going to start a GoFundMe to get us out to Houston. We're going to look for Ice LaBelle until it either kills us or we find her.
Or she kills us.
All right, you want to move on to Ready and Willing?
I'm glad that you knew the bit I was going to do before I did it.
Where would you... I wanted to play this game, too. You could put the ellipses anywhere in this album title, and it would make more sense than where it is right now.
I think it's specifically because of the album was named after the song. I think that there's a song on here called that, right? Am I wrong?
I don't know, man.
There isn't. There is not a song on this album called Ready and Willing. I don't know. Now that I'm looking at it,
box art. This one has the best cover of all 4 of the albums we listened to, in my opinion.
Hard agree. I definitely agree. I also have the least to say about it. I thought it was.
You know what sucks? Is I also have the least to say about it, but it's my favorite of the 4.
Oh, I really disagree. I think this one was a different look, but he just sounds so uninterested in what he's talking about. I have literally 2 notes, and it's the one lyric that I wrote down because I knew I needed one.
Yeah.
And my note for the song Blingin' is, this beat fucking sucks. Other than that, I have the names of all the other songs ready for me to have notes for them, but I just did not.
What's your favorite lyric? Go over with your favorite lyric.
Never flexin', just steamin', while to me, these gals are gleaming. He really started using the word gals in this one.
Yeah, those candied yams. Look at those gams.
He also started the obsession with the term grindin' and shinin', or grind to shine.
Yes. He does that a lot. He says that a lot in which one? Either Heartless, Hoodlum, or Southwest Hooligan. He talks about
both. I think it's mostly Heartless, Hoodlum. Yeah. He has an album later called Grind and Shine, and then he has a song at some point today called Grind Time to Shine Time or something.
Yeah, that's right. That is right.
Yeah.
So my favorite lyric is more of a phrase than a lyric, but it's really powerful. It's motherfuck a funeral.
Yeah.
Which is, that's baller. This one, I think the reason that this is my favorite, number one, is I listened to Hustlin Thick and Ready and Willing back to back, like immediately. And the production on this, the mixing is just 10 times better than Hustlin Thick.
I agree, but I don't know.
This one was close with Southwest Hooligan, and we'll talk about Southwest Hooligan later. But I liked this one better. It has really cool use of vocal samples on a lot of the songs, which I think is really, really cool. I think this is the best of the vocal samples. He does it on the other 2 albums, but this is where it's the best. My favorite Viper song so far of any of them is You Gon' Die.
That is a good one.
That's a really good song. It's just like this. It sounds like he's about to murder someone. That is the most atmospheric song, like tonally consistent that I've heard from Viper in the close to 5 hours of Viper that I've listened to over the past week.
See, I was with it. The first two, I'm watching these haters I did not like.
Yeah,
they can't fold me. They can't fold me with okay. My Expeditions as a Baller was my favorite song on the track.
I wrote that one too.
The hook was so good.
Yeah.
And then You Gon' Die is right after that. And I was like, okay, this is looking good. And then I hated Blingin' so much that I didn't take a single note for 4 songs.
So my thing with this album is the highs are really, really high and the lows are really, really low. I was struggling to get through a lot of the songs, but My Expeditions as a Baller followed by You Gon' Die are fantastic. And then the last 3 songs on the album, the last 10 minutes are the best 10 minutes of any of the best 10 minutes I've spent listening to Viper. I don't have the names in front of me right now, but they are...
That would be Making Sure, My Hustle, and I Keep It Real.
Yes, those 3 songs are fantastic. I really, really like this. I also really like this because I watched it, or I listened to it on YouTube, and one of the suggested videos was a video titled 1 Hour of Sad Viper Songs That Make Me Feel Like Shit. And I'm a big fan of that. That's what I can get into.
My favorite part of watching the YouTube versions of these albums is how there's at least 5 people of the 10 comments saying the fake Viper fans will never find us here.
Yeah, I also like that. And there's people that will actually defend this garbage. Like there's legitimately, like, on a lot of the videos on YouTube, there's comments that are like, man, Viper used to be one of the realest. Like he was this lyrics. This is the best like Southwest Texas rap, dude. This is the peak. And it's just like, no, it's not.
I saw a lot of people on this album specifically saying that this was the early peak and like inspiration for all of cloud rap.
Yeah, I also saw that a lot.
Like the spacey beats are so ahead of its time. And it's like, sure, but I kind of think a lot of that stuff sucks too.
Yeah, and it's also
it's like he squeezed out the first turd. Yeah,
exactly. And I'll give it that it's a lot of his records and a lot of his beats are really atmospheric. But that's because the fidelity on them is so bad that it can't, like, it's so washed out and it's so white noisy that of course it's going to be that overwhelming, dark, atmospheric sound. It's just
they're also not beats he made. He just sampled songs from the 70s and like slowed them way down.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's not good. I ranked Ready and Willing 7 out of 10. That's about. I have the fewest notes on that. That's my favorite of them. It's close between that and Southwest Hooligan.
I thought this was the worst of the 4 personally.
Really interesting.
I was just so uninterested in it. Specifically, those 2 at the very beginning were so good, and then I felt like from then on it was like 40 straight minutes of drooling. I was flat on my back, as he might say, dead. Big shout out to Grind to Shine Time. What a great title.
That is a great title.
I don't know. I feel bad. I have nothing really to say about Ready and Willing, but
yeah, I will agree with you actually on the fact that most of the album is pretty bad, and there's that solid 40-minute chunk between My Expeditions as a Baller / You Gon' Die until the end, and I really like the last 10 minutes, but that period in between is like so boring. And I actually had notes written down because I was on a Wikipedia binge during that time, because I found out the other day, and I texted you about this, I found out the other day that in 1987 Sarah Palin cucked her future husband with future NBA superstar Glenn Rice.
I love the way you put that, because they were definitely not together at that point, but
no, they were dating.
Really?
Yeah. Uh-oh. Her and her husband were dating. Yeah.
So that I love this story, and I love Glenn Rice. But I'm just gonna say what we're all already thinking. Glenn Rice is the reason that Obama beat John McCain. And,
That's accurate.
And here is why. You think about Glenn Davis. I don't know if the audience maybe doesn't know, but he's an NBA player, born in Flint, Michigan, went to the University of Michigan, was a 3-time All-Star, all with the Charlotte Hornets, and won a championship in the year 2000 with Shaq and Kobe on the Lakers. Started in Miami, but he's a harbinger of doom and decay.
Clearly.
And I say this because Charlotte at the time had a young superstar named Alonzo Mourning, who was angry because a teammate was also making some money, and they argued about who was richer, which seems strange, but you know
that's a Viper ass argument.
That is a Viper ass argument, and so our boy Alonzo Mourning was traded to Miami for a package centered around one Glenn Rice.
I love that.
Glenn Rice had 2 good seasons and then left. But after that, not long later, the team was sold, and we were terrible forever. Now, let's recall the future that was dealt to one Sarah Palin. At that time, if I'm recalling correctly, she was a TV personality covering sports.
A reporter. She was a reporter, sports reporter. And she went to the Great Alaskan Shootout, the college basketball tournament, to report on it. And Glenn Rice was playing, and she allegedly was the quote-unquote aggressor in the situation, and essentially forced herself upon Glenn Rice, who, in the writing of the unauthorized biography of Sarah Palin that this story comes from, was interviewed for that, declined to go on the record after, but confirmed the story to the author of that unauthorized biography, which I think is pretty cool.
I agree.
But that
I read that interview. Sorry, no, continue. I want to hear this part.
So I went on a Wikipedia binge based on that, and I learned just an absurd amount about the ridiculousness of Alaskan politics. So there in the 1960s, I forget the exact years. I think 66 to 69 or something like that.
Nice.
The governor of Alaska, yeah, nice. The governor of Alaska was a guy named Wally Handel.
Okay.
And
that's a funny name.
I think that's his name. It's Wally something. Wally something. Let me type it in. Alaska governor Wally Hickel. Excuse me, Hickel, not
That's
Handel.
even funnier.
Right. His name is Walter J. Hickel. He was an Alaskan businessman, real estate developer, and was governor of Alaska twice. The first time began in 1966 until 1969, and then he served again from 1990 to 1994.
Okay.
Whenever he would be faced with a difficult decision for Alaska, he would speak to what he referred to as a disembodied voice from within him. That would tell him what was best for the Alaskan people. I'm going to give you 3 guesses as to what he referred to this voice as, and then I'll tell you.
I hope it's like Mr. Mufti or something.
It's not Mr. Mufti. You got 2 more.
Pinko.
Pinko is not it.
Is it olive oil?
I wish. He referred to it as the little man.
Oh. Isn't that what the kid from The Shining called his finger?
I think so.
Man.
I got 2 more Alaskan politics things that I'm going to sprinkle out throughout the rest of the episode. So just be prepared for that.
I don't know if I can be, but I'm excited about it.
Let's move on to Heartless Hoodlum.
Gladly. I like this one better.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't know. I might have fucked up. I might have listened to a chopped and screwed version of this because somehow the quality of the recording was worse than Ready and Willing.
So here is the thing. This is something that I would like to warn any brave souls who might try to listen to this in the future. If you tried to watch this on YouTube, the only version that I could find where the entire album was all together, and this is true for not the first version of this album, but the second version that Viper ever publicly released the same year. It was like the remastered version. After the song Clip In, the last like 2.5 seconds was accidentally repeated over and over with a horrible static sound at the end the entirety of the rest of the album.
That's beautiful.
So in the version I found, I had to stop and find another because there was 1, 2, 3, 4 songs and then 36 minutes of the same 2-second sound clip and static that just kills your ears. And after reaching out for comment, Viper he's been very mysterious about it, where he hints that
really?
This might be intentional.
Oh yeah, of course.
But everyone knows that it was a mixing mistake because no other version of this album is like that. So you have to listen to a remixed or screwed and chopped version
that I certainly
to hear it at all.
I certainly did. I have very, very few notes about this album.
Okay. I got some good ones.
Okay, good. I don't have a lot to say, so I'm going to shut up for most of this one. All right. The first note that I have, and the most important one, is that Viper is still the worst part of his own albums.
I agree. He had some, I think there's some good samples here, the first half specifically, but I would like to share some knowledge that I learned from Something You Can Feel, the first song. There's a line, "Yeah, what's poppin' off? I'm ready for you bustas. See my Nina Ross?" And I had no idea who Nina Ross was. I looked it up, and it just means 9mm handgun.
Oh, cool.
It also means, if you're playing blackjack or poker, a hand that totals up to 9. I looked it up. I was like, okay, what's the deal? I can't find anything to tell me who Nina Ross was, what she has to do with the number 9. But if anyone ever threatens to show you their Nina Ross, it probably means a handgun. So be careful for that.
Maybe.
I thought maybe like she was some artist
like
or model that was a 9, like a 9 out of 10. And so 9 is Nina Ross. I don't know. Couldn't find anything.
Interesting. But
that was an interesting one. Also, Let's Ride. This is my quote of the album. It's a little early, but I think it has to be discussed. 36 gals, 6 Alaskan, senior high, 10 black, 10 Asian, 8 Latino, 8 white. When I pick them up from school, they look good. What they wearing?
So this brings us to the point that I feel like it's necessary to talk about the fact that Viper is a horrible, horrible person, and that if in any way you're thinking about purchasing his albums and supporting him, don't do it. Do what we did and pirate it or find it for free somewhere. Please don't give this man money. He's a terrible human being who likes to go after younger, underage women.
He also tends to, when you buy t-shirts from him, just steal the money and not send you your items. I saw a lot of people complaining about that.
I love that.
But I just thought it was interesting because you warned me that there might be some Alaskan going on, and here we are, the next album, 36 gals, 6 Alaskan. Why?
At first I was like, okay, so he wants the like whitest white girls that he can find, but then he gets 10 more white girls.
No, 8 more white girls.
Oh, excuse me, 8 more white girls later on. So are these Alaskan natives? Like, are these Inuit peoples, or are they just white women from Alaska, or is it 6 Sarah Palins?
I love that also he specifies specifically that the Alaskans are senior high, but nothing about any of the others, so we just don't really know.
Yeah, we just know that they're school age. Judging by his past transgressions, might we say, of 17 is legal pops, I'm sure we can assume that most of them are, in high school at the very least. Although,
I mean, at the line, "I pick them up from school, they look good, what they wear," and doesn't really help his case.
Point. That's a really good point. I didn't even, fair enough. They can't drive. That's great.
So here's something else for you.
He really is a heartless hoodlum.
He really is. It's really true. There's a lot of murder in the last half of this, but
there's also he talks about love a lot on this album. It's like 50% love, 50% murder.
The next one has a lot of that too. There's a lot of real emotion on Southwest Hoodlum that I enjoy, but
yeah.
Southwest Hooligan.
Right.
I'm but the title "This Here Is Pho."
Yeah, what does that mean?
It's because, well, you see, I don't know why he just took the first line of the song, but the lyric goes, "This is pho, all the haters out there." So, like, in the song, it's just, like, the way he said it, "This is pho, all the haters." And yet, he chose "This is pho" as the name of the whole song.
All the haters.
I'm surprised he didn't name the album "This Here Is Pho." Heartless Pho.
Heartless Pho. I think that there are two good songs on this album.
Okay.
A Love Lost, I think it's not good, but he tries so hard. He puts so much effort into that song that I kind of feel like I have to say that it's good. And The Way I Shine, I think, going back to Shining and Gleaming and Blingin', that one's a standout track. I really like The Way I Shine. THA, Way I Shine.
I agree. I love the way at some point he goes through this weird bit in Gone Clash where he talks like he's like a 50s.
Can you say that title again?
Gone Clash. Gone Clash.
Like going
like
to
we
clash?
we gone Clash.
All
yeah.
Right. Okay, got it. You gonna die.
So
we gonna clash.
He says it like he's got his switchblade in one hand, he's combing the grease through his hair, and he's snapping with a third hand you can't see, as if he's like about to go face off this with the Scorpions in a turf war. Like it's so really, bizarre.
This is adding to the Viper lore though, because now we know that not only is he immortal and witnessed the switch from the enemy of Popeye being Bluto to being Brutus, but he also has a third arm. Location still undetermined. We don't know where the third arm is, but we do. Well, know
it's like the Buddhist thing he brought up before. It's like where the third eye would be. It kind of sticks out a little bit
out of the forehead. Okay, got it.
Yeah,
got it.
Homicide is probably the laziest title you could come up with for what is essentially the fifth of like 6 murder tracks in a row.
Yeah.
It's like he got halfway through this album and decided he was angry.
And the weirdest thing is, on the Genius page for this album, or on a lot of the songs for this album, it's like, this is one of Viper's most heartfelt and introspective albums of all. And it's like, half of it's about murking fools. Like, I don't think that's right.
There's a part in here, I don't remember which song it is, I didn't make a note exactly, but he's talking about how someone is angry at him because he called them a mark in his previous album.
Mm-hmm.
And that they tried to do a drive-by. I think it's Death Time is that one. They tried to do a drive-by on him, but he saw them, and they didn't hit him or they didn't kill him. And so now he's coming, and he's like, "It's get ready, it's death time." Yeah, and so he says death time. And so I guess he took that guy out, and then he rides with 36 high school girls.
That's on that song?
No, that's the very next song.
Oh,
he gets
good.
After he finishes taking care of that enemy rapper who tried to kill him.
Hey,
he has his high school women, and
bro.
He parlays all day at the mall, and then he kills people for 8 tracks in a row.
Hey, bro, I gotta kill you before 3:15 because I gotta go pick up my girls from the school.
Yeah, there's 6 Alaskans, 10 black, 10 Asian, 8 Latin, 8 white.
That doesn't add up to 36.
No, come on. 6 plus 10 is 36 or 16, and then 26 with the 10 Asians plus another 16. That's 46. That is 46. I didn't even pick up on that. That's 32.
Yeah, it's 32. It's 32. He has 6 Alaskans, 10 black, 10 Asian, 8 Hispanic, and 8 white. That's 32.
Maybe he should go back to senior high.
Did Viper graduate high school?
I have no idea, but I did not notice that.
I'm glad that you
man.
noticed that. That is going to be. I didn't choose a favorite lyric from this one because none of them really stood out to me. But
Is that now?
That it's that now. It's that whole
The whole
16.
story behind it too.
Yeah.
I think my despite that being great, I think it's the 2-second clip that repeats for the last 40 minutes
That's your
of that
favorite
version of the
lyric?
album. Oh yeah. It hurts so bad because it's also edited incorrectly in terms of volume. So it is just way too loud. And it'll play the like 2-second clip and then pure static. And then it'll immediately loop.
It's to kind of bounce off of that. I noticed something on this one. This is the third one that I listened to. I listened to this one the next day after listening to the first two. I noticed that there's kind of a pattern to listening to a Viper song. They're all about like 4 minutes long. Some are a little less, some are a little more. Listening to a Viper song sucks because the first minute is good.
It's so slow though.
But it's like you can kind of groove to it. You know what I mean? The beats aren't awful. You can you're feeling the music. You're like, yeah, all right, I can kind of move to this. It's got a good beat to it. Then the second minute, you're like, all right, I get it. You're doing the same about 10 to 15 second loop over and over again, and you're just mumbling over it. It's getting a little repetitive. And then by the third and fourth minute, you want to kill yourself because you've been hearing this on repeat over and over again, and you can't understand a goddamn thing he's saying because he just mumbles and mixes it awfully. Like, it's okay.
See,
like, hip-hop...
Here's the thing for me. No, yeah, you're right. I mean, you're exactly right.
A hip hop is like that. Like a lot of rap songs are like that, where it's a pretty simple beat that repeats itself. But what sets it apart is you listen to the lyrics with that, right? You can't understand a fucking word that Viper says on any of these albums, except for Southwest Hooligan. Any of these albums, they're all so badly mixed that Viper's voice is just completely washed out.
I agree, but I disagree on your conclusion that the beginning parts are the best, because I also noticed there's a distinct formula to a Viper song. It is chorus or hook that's always so fucking slow. That you sit there and you're like, all right, I want to hear you at least say the words. Can we get there? Because there's like 40 seconds of him saying the name of the song.
Right, I noticed
then like one other line.
Yeah.
And then he'll do a verse, and then he'll do the chorus again. And then he'll do a verse, and then he'll double the length of the chorus to end out the song. And that's how every song goes.
That was very, very much on this album in particular. This and Ready and Willing also had a bit of that. But this one, it was by far the worst. It was to the point where even though I couldn't understand what he was saying, I knew that he was just repeating himself.
Yep. I got to the point where I think I was, by the time I got to This Here Is Pho, I started skipping the last part of the last round of chorus because I knew that all it was going to be was him saying the same things I'd already heard him say.
Yes.
For the last minute of the song.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't do that on this album, but I did do that on Southwest Hooligan. Just a little bit. It kind of became when there was a good song, I would listen to the whole thing, but they're so few and far between. It's so repetitive, and that's the thing, is that these songs should be like 2 minutes long. They would be infinitely better if they were 2 minutes long, but Viper has to have 15 songs on every album. They all have to be 4 minutes so they can get it to exactly an hour. Like, it's so weird.
So
I gave this a 4 out of 10. Second worst.
Yeah. I agree on the spot on the placement. I think it's better than Ready and Willing, but I did not like it as much as Hustlin Thick.
Okay, yeah. Again, I thought Ready and Willing was better, but I did think that this was a lot better than Hustlin Thick. But
so before we move on to the next album, I have something that I meant to bring up here.
Okay.
What kind of car do you think Viper actually drives?
It's an Expedition.
See, he says that in Hustlin' Thick, which I think is the truth. He also said at one point, "Now my car is clean as a bar of soap," which I thought was funny.
Yeah, he also says it on Ready and Willing. He has a whole song about it on Ready and Willing.
He does, but he also on that album says that he drives an Escalade. And then in, I believe it's Heartless Hoodlum. Oh gosh, it might be in Southwest Hooligan. There's a song about taking the girl to the club. Gosh, I can't find it right away. Anyway, he talks about having like 6 different vehicles in that one song.
Well,
and so I just don't understand exactly what he's getting at here.
He's saying that he's rich. Don't you get it? He's made so much money from his 3 albums.
Then why does he keep rapping about his Explorer?
His Expedition. Get it right.
Expedition, excuse me. Right.
Lore. Yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question. Maybe, all right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're starting a second GoFundMe. For this one, if we hit $10,000, we're going to fly to Houston, Texas, and we're going to find out for you, live on camera, what Viper rapper drives.
Good call. Especially, he's got the song Cruisin', all about cruising.
Yeah, he does.
But
Cruisin' was an all right track.
It was okay, but do you think he's cruising in the Expedition? It is clean as a bar of soap. He says that same line like 4 times.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I just thought I would bring it up. I don't know that Viper... How can he still have a license? Like, you'd think that, like, with all the crack he smokes or claims to smoke, that he's probably...
all the homicide he claims to do.
Yeah, that he's probably has a record of some sort.
Well, he does have a song on Southwest Hooligan called "I'll Be Off Probation."
I have a lot to say about "I'll Be Off Probation." So let's go ahead and move on to Southwest Hooligan.
That sounds good.
I'll go ahead. I'll do my favorite lyric first. It is the hook for one of the songs, where Viper, in a very deep and low voice, almost sensually repeats "bedtime. It's your bedtime story inward."
Yeah.
And it's just so weird, and it makes me so uncomfortable that it couldn't not be my favorite lyric of all time.
My favorite is the second song, which I actually enjoyed. I remember when you was in love with me. His breakup ballad,
which is essentially just a love lost from Heartless Hoodlum.
It is, but better in my opinion. I liked it.
I agree.
There's this bar. A counselor did the best she could. I think that's supposed to be could, and it's just genius being the way they are. A counselor did the best she could, but I was a hard head stuck in the hood. Wish I could wind the hands of time when I was in your world and you was loving mine. That is something that I could see printed over like an old Asian man in front of a sunset, like on one of those inspirational Instagram pages.
That is a Facebook targeted ad T-shirt, or like
wish I could wind the hands of time when I was in your world and you was loving mine. Like, did he get that off a Snapple can?
Yeah, you could put that. You could put that on a piece of a clapboard written in like cursive ink, and every suburban white mom would put that in their laundry room.
I agree.
This one is close to Ready and Willing for me. It is either, I went back and forth between whether this one or that one was my favorite. I think that if I listened to them back to back, I think I actually probably would like this one more. But I don't know. The biggest part about this one was the mixing.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Although apparently there are also multiple versions of this song. None of them are well mixed, of course, but there is just no telling from listen to listen. I agree, but I like the beats more. I like the samples better.
Yes.
I like that he tried some different things. Like, I remember when you was in love with me, he tried. Like, there is a genuine, like, this is different from the other stuff he makes. He's genuinely sad. It's not like, I felt like with Ready and Willing, he was kind of just doing the same thing. It was all about the flexing. It was they can't fold me. I'm killing, and I was like, all right, let's switch it up, and he never did. I don't know. I liked the attempt he made. He actually varied the way his voice sounded, at least a little bit sometimes.
I don't know that I'd go that far, but
he made an attempt to sound slightly different, or at least slow down more than he's already slow. He's also just got so much hate in him on this one.
Yes, he does.
My favorite song is 9,900 Haters on the
Yes! That one was so good! And that one came off of 2 terrible songs right before it.
I agree. Do you know the context behind this song?
No, but I would love to.
So, he learned that in his previous album, which, depending on the timeline, was either Heartless, Hoodlum or Ready and Willing. It's unclear which one he figured this out about, because I think he wrote Southwest Hooligan before he wrote Heartless Hoodlum, but they came out at different times. I don't know. It's weird. But 10,000 people heard his previous album on whatever Bandcamp or SoundCloud or whatever the fuck he was uploading on.
Yeah.
But only about 1% of those who heard it bought the album. So he viewed all 9,900 people who listened to his album but didn't buy it haters. And he talks about wanting to kill them and about how he doesn't care about them. That's what this whole song is about. The people who heard his song and didn't buy it. And he's like, you're never going to get to me. I don't care. All 9,900 haters on the wall can never buy my music, and I'll never care. But if you come on my block, I'll kill you.
That song was a breath of fresh air, too. Breath of fresh air. That was the worst possible way I could have said that. Because it came off of 2 god-awful songs, which, granted, have 2 fantastic names. The first being I'll Be Off Probation, which I'll come back to, and My Life Being Famous is really good as well. My Life Being Famous is the better of the 2 tracks. They both kind of have the same formula where they're this R&B, like somebody else's song, clearly, like some R&B singer's song that is chopped and screwed and remixed and thrown all over the place. I'll Be Off Probation is the worst song I have ever heard. I'll Be Off Probation sounds like you're listening to that R&B song in your room while Viper yells at his wife downstairs. Like, it is the worst thing I've ever heard, because it's not like an R&B like beat or an R&B tune. It is an actual R&B song, and it's a repeated vocal sample through the entire thing, played at as high or higher of a volume than Viper's own vocal recordings. It's so bad. It's baffling that he heard that, listened to it after recording it, said, yeah, that's good. Yeah, print that. Like, what? And it's so different from the rest of the album, because the rest of the album is the first one that I was able to consistently hear and understand Viper's vocals. I don't get it.
Yeah. No, I really agree. Gosh, there are some good ones in here, though. I really do think. I really liked Hustlin' and Winnin'. I hate the chorus a lot because it's so slow again, but I love it partially because there's this guy, shout out to Clownin' Too Hard, a contributor for 3 years now on Genius, who tried to hype up this album specifically by describing. He gave like annotations on this that are the most obvious things in the world. He said, Viper channels his boom bap skills in this Tribe Called Quest-esque trap.
There's nothing. I love a Tribe Called Quest. I own virtually every Tribe Called Quest album. That is the worst comparison I've ever heard. That is an insult to every member of a Tribe Called Quest and to every fan of a Tribe Called Quest. What is boom bap?
Clearly, it's this collection of 4 lines, which I had to share. Now you know what's the deal. Now you know how I chill. Now you know that I'm real. Now you know you'll get killed.
That's, yeah, wow, that's deep. Like,
He also says, "My pockets on swole, my diamonds blinging in my eyes. I'm clowning, and I don't really care."
We know that you don't care, Viper. It's so obvious. Everything about all that you've done is obvious that you don't care. I love that. I love that he brings up his eyes. I'm sure that he gets a lot of compliments on those.
He talks about him a lot.
He does. He also like. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird that I'm like thinking back on this album because I listened to this one literally not 2 hours ago on my drive home, and I remember thinking, yeah, this is really good, but I can't remember any specific songs off the top of my head now. They were all consistently better, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I could actually understand what he was saying, and it made up for in a lot of cases the fact that the beat was repeating over and over again for 3.5 minutes. I also think that a lot of the songs were shorter. I don't think there was any that were
they were shorter.
They were like 3 to 3.5 minutes rather than being 4+.
So
which does
here's my question for you. You said that "I'll Be Off Probation" and "My Life Being Famous" that you thought those might be the worst on the album.
Potentially worst that I've ever heard. Yeah.
So I really liked 9,900 Haters on the Wall because it was entertaining and it has a really funny story behind it.
Yeah.
But I think it's sandwiched between it's like a club sandwich of dog shit with like a good piece of salami in the middle. Because Mark's Steady Clickin'
is fucking awful too.
The chorus is just "Die motherfucker die" over and over again.
Die motherfucker die. Dude, I listened to that one. I think I made it through a minute 44 of that one before I said, because that was the one that I was like, I just can't do this, man. I listened to it. I heard the first minute or so, and I said, I got it. I get what you're trying to do here, Viper. Yep. I gotta move on. I got 15 of these fuckers to get through. I gotta go.
This is the weakest one, not only just in terms of quality, but I think he's like more of the time of the song is spent in the chorus.
Yeah.
Than the verses, which is normal.
Well,
but he says that
the bedtime, it's your bedtime story inward. That one repeats a lot too. That one is mostly chorus too. That one's a lot of chorus. And You Gon' Die is like that.
Even so, there is so little to the song's verses.
So little meat on
the
bones there.
Should have asked somebody, "Don't you know I'm a sniper? Wipe the tears from your eyes."
Because my name is Viper. He missed an obvious. That was it. He could have rhymed. He could have rhymed Viper and Viper and Sniper there.
Yeah.
That would have been. That would have been pretty good.
So.
I like that.
I don't understand him. I wish I could find it now.
Dude, we're talking about a man who wraps himself in ace bandages to achieve godhood. What the fuck did you expect? Do you want to understand Viper?
I'd like to know if he's okay.
I don't think he is. I think you knew that before you said it.
All right, I'm now looking at
people for
to see if Viper's okay.
To go see for Will and I to go back to school, get a 2nd degree each in psychology, and then go become Viper's personal therapists.
Hey, the counselor, she did her best. But I'm a hard-head man stuck in the hood.
Sorry, you meant that the counselor good did the best she could.
Yeah, right.
I love that the people on Genius are even like, yeah, this guy is fucking stupid. We're just gonna put that she did the best she could. That's 100% what he meant.
Again, at least 3 people contributed to all of these.
Yeah. That's there. If you guys are out there, let us know.
Is anyone out there? Are you okay?
We'd love to have you on the show sometime, and just figure out if there's any better hobbies that we can get you into. I really like golf. We both like video games. We could show you some other things.
If you've made it this far, tell me down below. Do you think Popeye is the vegan One Punch Man?
All right. I think we're rounding out an hour. Before we go, is there anything else you'd like to say before I sign off with my last Alaskan politics?
I cannot wait for next week. or however long it takes for another one of these, because we are going to go through as many of them as physically exist. So
yeah,
I
so
think
that's actually something I wanted to talk about before on here. I got when I was listening to Hustlin Thick. This is a note that I forgot to mention in Hustlin Thick. So I don't know what list you use, but I made it through the first 2 songs on Hustlin Thick before I said, "What the hell have I gotten myself into? How many of these fucking albums are there?" And it's not entirely clear.
correct.
Wikipedia and Genius, and this is just the ones that are primarily new content, right? Or assumedly. Right. Wikipedia and Genius both list 27 albums. Albumoftheyear.org lists 42. Rate Your Music lists 57. And Discogs.com lists 80. That's just albums. That's not including singles or EPs or anything miscellaneous.
So here is the number that I have seen. Most of these, we'll see how many we can find, but in total, all of them, there are 1,500.
Right. Yeah.
Of those, about 930 have at least some original songs on them.
Okay.
So from that, the ones that are entirely original could be down closer towards the
10,
double digits. Yeah, but in theory there are a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Those are the major ones. So we got some work to do still, no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. But 900 seems a lot more manageable than the couple thousand. When we get up, because right now we're in the era of the early years of Viper, before Yule Cowards, pre-Yule Cowards Viper.
Which people say was what ruined him, because it had that meme appeal, and he bought into that way too hard.
Right, that's constantly in the comments. So we're still in the pre-Yule Cowards era. The post-Yule Cowards era, we're going to have to kind of play it by ear and figure out, maybe we'll just listen to the 1 or 2 original songs on each of the albums or something like that. But stick around, ladies and gentlemen. You'll find out.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, actually, I believe the next one in line is Yule Cowards. So we might have to do a special 1 album episode.
Yeah,
just to pick it apart, because I really do think that is the corrupting point for our man, Mr. Lee.
I think what I may do is I may just exclusively listen to Yule Cowards Don't Even Smoke Crack for the entire next week. That's the only music I'll listen to until I understand it, until I get it. You know what I mean?
So next week, this will be a solo podcast from Garrett's funeral. The counselor did the best she could. She could. But he's a hardhead stuck in rapper hell.
All right, so before we sign off, we're at about 1:03. The last thing that I want to talk about, this is probably my favorite one. Alaska has had the same congressman in the House of Representatives for the past 50 years. He's been in office since 1973. His name is Don Young. He's fat, he's short, he looks like Santa Claus. He is well known for getting what he wants in the House of Representatives. And early on in former Speaker of the House John Boehner's term, he once casually laughed at or insulted in some way the representative from Alaska, Don Young, to which Don Young responded by grabbing the lapels of future Speaker of the House John Boehner's shirt, throwing him up against the wall, and holding a 10-inch hunting knife to his neck in the middle of the House of Representatives. And that's pretty neat.
So there's the famous, Congressman canes other congressmen on the Senate floor.
Uh-huh.
That's like the classic.
Right.
Would you rather be faced with a caning or a knife from a fat Alaskan man?
The caning was about slavery, right? So I'd rather be on the right side of history there.
No. Outside of that context.
All right. Well, because I was gonna say what John Boehner had insulted him over was the infamous Bridge to Nowhere. He said it was a bridge to nowhere, and Don Young said, "You can kiss my ass. I will kill you." I think I'd rather just have the hunting knife held to my throat because no damage actually came to future Speaker of the House John Boehner. Charles Sumner did get almost caned to death, which seems a lot more painful. So I'm gonna go with 10-inch hunting knife.
Okay, that's a bold choice, I think, but probably the right one.
Last thing, later on, I may have this reverse, but I believe that John Boehner later served as Don Young's best man. It may have been reversed where Don Young served as John Boehner's best man, but it's good to see, people coming together in times of hardship.
I like to think no matter what order that was in, he was threatened with a knife to make sure that it happened.
Yeah, I also like that.
It's either be my best man, I'll kill you, or subscribe for more podcast episodes.
All right, I'm Garrett.
And I'm Will.
And this has been Two Cowards Who Don't Even Smoke Crack. See you next week.